Okay.
Hi, Stan.
Hello.
Thank you for coming. This is World Unity Week. Today is June 20th of 2023. I'm Shannon McArthur with Our Heart Gardens, and working with World Unity Week, Stan has decided to come and talk to you and me and Melanie about the network of networks and his networks. Stan and I work together in the after chat of Humanity Rising, and we have the best fun there every day, Monday through Friday. After Jim is finished his presentations, we take over. And so, Stan, I welcome you to talk about.
Well, thank you. I mean, where should I start? I should probably start at the beginning. Yes. Okay. The Whole Earth Catalog. I don't know, Melanie, have you ever heard of it? It was a thing around the late 60s and early 70s. It was a giant book. I have one someplace, but with all kinds of descriptions of things that were worthwhile knowing about if you wanted to know about them. So lots and lots of people did. It was called the Whole Earth Catalog, and it listed things to take care of the land. It listed things to change your lifestyle, health, a whole range of everything. And I didn't know what it was, but somebody asked me, did you ever hear the Whole Earth Catalog? And I was on an acid trip at the time. So Whole Earth Catalog, what's that? And I'm still living that acid trip right now. This is part of my life. It became my life. Whole Earth Catalog inspired me to pay attention to how people connect to each other. And that became an obsession with networks and networking. So after hearing that and finding out that I wanted to do something to connect people to each other, I ran into an article, or not an article, an ad, a little tiny, what do they call them? Catalog ads. Yeah. And it said, if you want something done or you want to do something, we're here. We're everything for everybody. Come and see us. Everything for everybody. Well, what does that mean? So it was up in New York. I'm in Philadelphia. Spent an hour riding a train or a bus or whatever it was, and get to see this little storefront where people are standing around reading the walls. And the walls are covered with little cards that have messages on them. And the fellow that ran the place had a box on his desk with the addresses associated with each card. And he was connecting people to each other. And not only did he do that, connect them to the people on the cards, but he also interviewed people. What do you do? What are you interested in? What do you want? What do you have to offer? And so he was connecting people with the cards. He was connecting people with just being there, and he became a kind of grandfather to the whole neighborhood. And this was the southern part of New York City, Manhattan. And there was a lot of people. And since then, I asked him if I could do this in Philadelphia. So I'll get back to that in a minute. One fellow and met his girlfriend, met his wife, and they're still married and they have 2 children. And this is all 50 years ago. He decided to embark on running his own Everything for Everybody store. So he got permission to do that. I got the permission to do one in Philadelphia. And this fellow ended up writing a book about it, which is what's so nice about knowing him. I'm still aware of he and his wife. Every once in a while, I see them on Facebook. They had adventures, and they also described the origins of the Everything for Everybody idea, which was in a gentleman who kind of got tired of religion. He was in the Catholic Church and didn't like what was going on. He started hanging out with Catholic workers who are social service people in the Catholic Church, and he didn't like what they were doing enough either. So he decided to start his own little storefront and connect people to each other. And he invented this very simple concept. You write on the wall and you just leave your name and address, and he'll connect people. And it built up to a point where it was actually a community center, and they had a free store, which they gave away things and accepted things. They started a food co-op, and my place in Philadelphia ended up going through that similar cycle. So I came back to Philadelphia, rented a storefront in an active neighborhood called South Street, which is similar in theory and flavor to Haight-Ashbury, where a bunch of hippies were hanging out and smoking dope and enjoying life. And the city had decided to tear down one side of South Street and the north side of the next street over to make a expressway. So they were going to connect the two sides of Philadelphia, two rivers, from river to river along this corridor. And so they just sort of after World War II, I'm not sure just when they decided this, but in any event, they sent out memos to all the store owners along this corridor. It was a very busy commercial corridor, and telling them they should shut their stores down and get out, because we're going to buy up your stores. We're going to buy up that whole block. And so there was more and more and more empty stores on the street from river to river. And so when I got there, I paid $100 for my storefront. And people were renting houses, or actually getting free houses, because some of the owners would just give away, you want to live there? Oh, as long as you take care of it. So, so that was happening when I moved in there, and I started connecting people to each other. And hundreds, maybe 1,200 people. I have 1,200 cards from people. I think I was actually working with more than 1,200 people, but some people got married. Some people found jobs. Some people would come to me and say, I can do it. I'll do anything. I'll do anything. And they would. I would send them out down the street to the lady with the pillow shop, and they would put pillows into boxes and help her ship them off. And then they would come back. What else can I do? What else can I do? So those people would come to me 2 or 3 weeks later and say, goodbye, I'm going to Europe. I'll see you later. I've earned all this money. Thank you. And then there were the other people that would say, I'll do anything. Well, how about going stuffing pillows? Oh, I don't want to do that. How about helping the lady hang her pictures in the gallery? Oh, I don't want to do that. So there were two kinds of people that would do anything, and people that would say they would do anything, but they wouldn't. So the ones that actually did anything that I sent them to do, they were gone in a while and off to tour Europe. So that's a story for that. And I was the only one with a mimeograph machine making flyers, and people that were working to stop the Crosstown Expressway would come to me with their ideas for their meetings and stuff. And I would give them one of these blue things you could draw on, or you could type on, and put it on the mimeograph machine and turn out 24 flyers or 1,000 flyers, how many they needed. And so I became known as the mimeograph guy. And some people started calling me the mayor of South Street. People would send their friends, if somebody's moving in, go see Stanley, he'll get you this and he'll get you that. And I would try. I got into the local paper, and I was actually, my Everything for Everybody is featured in a Mr. Fix-It box on the front of the Inquirer. That was their first piece of publicity, and that started the phone ringing a lot. And what that said was I was going to be able to hook up elderly people with help for their homes, which wasn't really that easy to do. We couldn't find that many, but it was something that got us in the newspaper, and lots of people found out about it. And other reporters decided to come and talk to me, and so there are two two main articles that were written that I still have access to, and I think I have them on my first website. My first website is called Community Magic. And the reason it's called Community Magic is because I believe that if people take care of each other, magic will happen. And that starts off with a quote from a well-known author. Let's share screen and see what happens here. Zoom, and I'm already there. That's not the right button. And new share. Okay. So how did we figure out how to turn this thing off? There was a tool. We're turning it off and it's not here now. Preferences. Always check if firing on.
You're trying to turn off your toolbar, right?
Yes, that's right. Where is that? It's supposed to
It's
be
under
here.
preferences.
I'm in preferences, I think.
No,
No?
no,
Preferences.
there you go.
Yes. And then where is?
It's supposed to be
Oh,
the third box down. When you have
Maybe look
Guide.
in find in settings, maybe you'll find it there, maybe just type it up. See that little box on your right hand side, try that.
toolbar.
There we go.
Neither one of those does that.
add search bar in toolbar. All right. Well, maybe it's not in a way as much as I thought. We'll find out. Let's get back to work.
Thanks,
And,
Melanie.
I tried.
Yes, right. Okay. So where I'm headed is to the front of other networks. And the front of other networks is here. Other networks is my current major project. And it has almost 5,000 pages. So it takes a bunch of time and effort. And there's a way for people to add a page to other networks. You click on that. And I have links to my other two websites here. So to see Community Magic, you can help build a crowd helping website. So I have a message on here, how to build crowd helping websites. And not that many people have taken me up on that, but this is a fun thing. Paulo Coelho, I'm not sure if I say his name right, wrote the book about what is the title of his famous book. But he has this as premise: when you want something, the whole universe conspires to help you. So that has been tools for helpful people. So helpfulness has become a theme for everything that I talk about. And when I had my hip replaced, somebody sent a casserole for me, and that was very nice. So I asked my wife, who sent this casserole? She told me these two names, and I go, who are they? And she says, well, those are your son's housemates. You know them. Oh, yes, I do. I mean, I helped them move in there, and yeah. So all of a sudden, their faces bloomed in front of my mind. And so I have been saying ever since then that helpfulness brings people into focus. Yes.
I agree.
And let's see. On here, we have a number of, whoops, come on. Stay.
There we are. You keep
no, it's
clicking
not
on it. Don't click on it, just go down. Oh,
No, it's not staying.
we are having tech troubles today, aren't we?
Yes, right. And this was supposed to be gone. And what we want to do is to go in here and see the strength of weak ties. how do people help each other? They talk, and you get to find out what's happening from somebody else. And if that happens between people that are close, it's called a strong tie.
Did you share sound?
Okay, I guess not. All right. All right, I'll start again. So you weren't hearing it.
No,
Uh,
and we want it to be big screen too.
Yes, we'll do that in a minute, in a minute, in a minute. I have to find my way back to Zoom and to share screen. And we have to,
Go to the right one.
well, yeah, but I wanted to find the tool.
Strength of weak.
There it is. Yes, there we go.
There,
Let's
that's what
check
it
those
is.
off and
Double
click
click on
this
that.
and share it.
Share
And
it
now
there.
you should be able to hear it.
And
And we'll start it over.
okay, and large. There we
Thank you.
go. Now we got to hit go.
Chapter 5, Groups and Networks. Paradox, the strength of weak ties. It is the people with whom we are the least connected who offer us the most opportunities. Unless you live alone in the woods with no internet access, you are probably a member of many different social groups. These groups embody social networks, which are held together by the relationships within them. An important dimension of these social networks is the extent to which they are embedded. Embeddedness refers to the degree to which relationships are reinforced through indirect paths within the social network. The more embedded a tie, the stronger it is. That is, the more densely the relationships are stitched together. But sometimes it pays not to be too completely embedded. For example, Maria and Tyler are social entrepreneurs. We know this because the people on top have no direct connection to the people on the bottom other than through them. By linking two social networks, the tie between Maria and Tyler is what sociologists call a weak tie. That is, not reinforced through indirect connections. This weak tie provides new opportunities for dating and job referrals, not only for them, but for their friends as well. Maria and Tyler are in a position to mediate communication between the two groups, at least until the others start to meet each other. In technical terms, they command a structural hole in the network. This theory applies not only to groups of people, but also to groups of nations, corporations, bureaucracies, and any number of other social forms. The bottom line is that if you need a shoulder to cry on, pick someone with whom you have a highly embedded connection. But if you want to meet a new romantic potential or find a job, focus on the folks who don't know the rest of your peeps.
Well, thank you, Don Connolly.
Yeah, I stole that from him, and it's not on his website anymore. And I have a tendency to do that with videos that I think are really important, and I don't want them to go away just because the internet takes things away. So, hi, Tom. Did you see the little demonstration I was just showing?
Just the last couple of minutes.
Oh, okay. Should I start it again?
It wasn't that long. I think he got the meat of it. And
I got the gist of it, yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
And what I saw happening there was Marie and Tyler, who were the social entrepreneurs that were highlighted. A term that I want to introduce into this at this point is your term, social argonauts.
Okay. Yes.
The social entrepreneurs who are like the argonauts of the past, who went out searching for the golden fleece, and now the social argonauts are searching for the golden peace. I love the way you say that. I love your brain, man.
All right. Well, that's fun. And Shannon has more of my brain than I do. So, but yes, that's one of the fun things that I've talked about and written about. And I think there should be thousands of social argonauts, people who are paying attention to the terrain around them and helping those people that they run into find each other. So yeah, there's a well, there's a process that goes with that. But let's move to back to my. All right, are you seeing my screen now?
Nope.
No? Oh,
Nope.
okay. No. And back to Zoom. And then, oh, I see. Share screen. We'll go to this. And so you're seeing yourselves. And now I should be able to get this, and we don't want that page anymore. We want this. So my most of my work is around the Other Networks website, othernetworks.org, which is a wiki. It runs the same sort of process, the same software as Wikipedia. So if you're familiar with Wikipedia, you'll recognize this layout. Over here is a search tool, and if I put Shannon in there, we'll get to Shannon's page in Other Networks. So there's about 4,500 pages, maybe closer to 5,000. And each page in Other Networks has a link at the top, usually the website of the essence of what it is. So personal website and blog, we can go right to it for Shannon and see her story about her name and a little bit about herself and so on. Now I can close that, and we're back to here, and go back to the main page. Now, the other website that I run is called Wikidelphia, and that's where I live, Philadelphia. And this is something I started about 10, almost 12 years ago now, and it's got a nice picture of the center of the city, taken from a bridge going across the city, and one of the things that we can see about this is the big links. So we have categories. Everything is categorized in my system, and categories for food. So here we have page title matches category, issue, food, forest, and does food nudes, issue, surplus food, does issue. These are important parts of the title of these things. What does that have to do with anything? Well, the categories are something is about something, it buys or it's by somebody, it does something, it happens so frequently, it is something. And so something is something, then we could tell that it's not just something that we're it's not just what it's about, what it is. And issue, what motivates the target, and what does the target make? The target is the thing at the top of each page. So if we go to frequency, let's see what happens there. So here's things that are annually happening. We have 90 of those. And then there's 3 bi-monthly things in here. So Vanessa's monthly tour, money tour, and the public school notebook, which is out of business, that's sad. And this is also not happening anymore. So that's what happens to websites.
They get out of date.
They do, yes. And I actually pay somebody to keep some of this stuff up, but there's so many pages, and it's impossible for any of us, anyone to do that. How many pages? Oh, it doesn't have the number of the count on here. But again, there's over 5,000 pages. And this category of where talks about neighborhoods, and The category attempts to answer the question, where will one have to go to take advantage of this? It's not necessarily where it is located, but where you need to be in order to utilize the service that they're offering. And we also have things organized by neighborhood, and certain specific ones are Philadelphia neighborhoods. So here's a list of Philadelphia neighborhoods. Philadelphia has over 150 neighborhoods, and no one in the whole world, the city, Google, nobody has the names of all the neighborhoods accurately presented. Because especially if you go to a neighborhood and ask, where are we? They'll tell you a name. And then you go to somebody else, where are we? And they'll tell you a different name, because these neighborhoods don't have just one name. So the basic top level is this system of categories. And I decided to create this category structure when I was helping the local United Way to computerize their service directory of all the organizations that they were working with. And I actually loaned them a computer and a summer intern, and they got all these informations into this computer, and they bought a service from a company that made information and referral service software, and had a lady from Penn, University of Pennsylvania, who was a doctoral student in information science, come and help organize it and load it up. And then I came back 6 months later. How is the information and referral service? And I get these long looks. Nobody here knows how to query it. What? It was too complicated for the staff of the United Way to figure out, and they hadn't had training in information systems, so they couldn't figure it out. And on the spot, when they said that to me, what came out of my mouth was, well, something shouldn't be that complicated. Something is something, it does something, it's about something, it serves certain people. What could be simpler than that? And so that's the nature of the category system that I use for Wikipedia and for other networks. And,
so what I see, Stan, is that in Wikipedia, you learned the techniques and then you applied it to something that's valid for the whole of the network of networks and all of the individuals within them.
Yeah, well, I was building Wikipedia and I had a whole bunch of stuff in there, and starting to run into things like Humanity Rising, which introduced me to people all over the world, and trying to introduce them into Wikipedia didn't make a whole lot of sense. So as I got to having like 150 organizations that were worldwide, which was the where that I added to those, I needed something else to do. So I went back to what I was doing in the 1980s. In the 80s, after running everything for everybody, and Tom didn't hear that story, but I was running an information service for a couple of years, and then my interest in information systems continued, and I started collecting information about interesting things, and I had folders with all these things in them, and I ran into somebody who got to be interested in what I was doing, and we formed a partnership and decided to start a newsletter, and we called it Other Networks Newsletter. And it was in paper. The first issue we'd done on a typewriter, manual typewriter. It was electric typewriter, but it's still one button at a time. And over the course of the 80s, from 81 to 89, we published 9 or 8 editions, plus a couple of other publications, but 8 editions of Other Networks Newsletter. And it's still around. So somebody about 5 or 6 years ago came along and decided that what he wanted to do was to put my newsletter on the Internet Archive. So that's where you can actually find the original Other Networks newsletter on the Internet Archive. Hi, Michael. Do we know which Michael you are? Are you the Michael that was with us this morning, or the Michael that comes around every once in a while that we with the fun fancy screens? No.
We'll just let him hang around for a while he
Okay.
gets comfortable.
All right. So where was I?
Other networks,
Other networks.
the
Okay.
newsletter.
Yeah. So when I decided I needed some other place to put all this stuff that didn't belong in Wikidelphia, I went and looked for the word Other Networks and found othernetworks.org and bought another set of files on the same host that I was using for Wikidelphia. And then I copied all the categories over and started populating that. The first issue, the first thing that I put on the, let's go here. Let's do this sharing thing first. Hi, Leo.
And just to let you all know, Leo is a friend of ours from Humanity Rising. He comes to the after chat all the time. And it's back over to you, Stan.
Okay, so the front page of Other Networks had the article called Idea Husbandry, which has this graphic that I now use on the front page, main page of Other Networks. And this is an article about idea husbandry. And it reads, there's a tremendous quantity of created cognition going on out there. So he wrote this beautiful article about how do we create a global suggestion box. And then I asked my friend Nancy if she would draw something for us. And she came up with this lovely graphic. And it says, place suggestions here. And then the suggestion is more suggestions, please. More suggestion boxes. Okay. So that became the very first article in the Other Networks wiki. Picking up where I left off is what I wrote for that. This article first appeared on volume 2, number 4 of Other Networks newsletter from the fall of 1988. And a lot has happened to enable the ideas expressed here to come closer to reality. But in our opinion, humanity still has a way to go towards forging a healthy, nonviolent consensus on how our civilization can repair the damage it has been inflicting on the natural world and each other. So that's how this article got here, because it fit. And since the Other Networks newsletter was on the Internet Archive, I was able to just go and copy it and paste it in here. Because despite the fact that we had not done it on a computer, for the Other Networks newsletter was done on a computer for the last bunch of issues, but they only appeared in physical form as paper. And the Internet Archive people were able to scan the pages and produce beautiful, readable, and accurate text from the 8 issues of our newsletter. So what's next? I actually have so one of the ways I organize things is the first word in a title for a category is one of the key words. So if something is by somebody, it should it has something about by Shannon and McArthur. So we'll go look at that. And did you write this? Amanda Ellis?
I don't believe so. I think I follow her, and
Uh-huh.
I may have written
Oh,
about.
I've changed it. It should say recommended by instead of by.
By, should be
Yes, I
recommended.
added,
by. Yeah,
I
that's
added the recommended by, but here this is by Shannon McArthur, and we get back to Shannon's page.
Mhm.
Now, what is about? About means that you should be able to find something that was describing the thing that it says.
so
So,
about eating and about dreams and about
okay,
ecology,
right.
about
So
education.
if we go to about dreams, the Argonauts, this is one of the things that stimulated my making the social Argonaut. This is actually a website that teaches kids how to be more prideful, more understanding of who they are, and how to have their own dreams. And it's a lovely website. And I have to contact, I think I've tried to write to the publisher of this, and I haven't gotten any response. But I want to tell them about the social Argonauts that I've developed. This fellow is the person who publishes this, and he went from this to this in the course of a bicycle tour around the world. And I really have to honor the guy for making all that effort and losing all that weight and becoming so svelte. Yeah, love
Good
Scott.
for you.
Mm-hmm. Category definition. I wanted to go. There should be a by here that is that's funny. Let's try my instead of by.
Okay. I like
Category
your my.
my. And mine doesn't appear on this list, but it's search here. And no. Definitions, no. Browse. Okay. So under my, it stands global networks is empty, but there's another one here.
Sans favorites.
Yeah, but that's not the one I'm looking for either. And I thought I set up
Global
Yeah.
network
that's
over on the other side. My on global network.
the wait, this is other networks global network list for
Ah,
not mine, but these things are in here. So these are part of the network of networks. And what I'm going to be trying to do is to gather all the things that all the categories that have global networks in them and get them all onto this page and perhaps a couple of others. But one of the things that is important to me is that we help the world know about certain important websites. And one of the most important websites is Wikipedia. Wikipedia has just about everybody who's anything in there already, except for our wonderful friend Jim Garrison. He's not in there. And Ubiquity University, which is not in the Wikipedia.
yes,
But
but here.
Hmm?
It's in
Go ahead.
here.
Oh, yes. Well, Humanity Rising's here. And Humanity's Team is here, but Humanity Rising here is, and this is a link to the Humanity Rising website. And then we have access to all of Humanity Rising, how to access it, and a listing of all the episodes. So this is a table that started back in May of 2020 and has been going on till now. So if I want to see today's episode, I would go here. And today it was this one. And we could see the episode itself. And it will start
That's
off,
YouTube.
instead of Jim, it's going to start off with Georg and Tom. Usually Jim Garrison heads up these.
Welcome, everyone, to Humanity Rising. I'm Tom
Yeah, we can
Eddington.
hear him.
Jim
Yeah,
Garrison is
good.
away.
All right.
He's
But we
en
don't
route
need to
up
do this
Chartreux
now.
For the ubiquitous.
And can go back, close that. And the other kind of thing that I did is the searchable browser list, a searchable list that you use a browser to search. These are all the titles of the episodes. There's 723 of them. And if you're looking for a word, let's find a word. How about paradigm? If I can remember how to spell it, I can go to my find in page and type the word paradigm, P-A-R-A. Well, P-A-R-A got us 10 matches already. So let's go see those. And here's the first one, paradigm, D-I-G-M. D-I-G-M. Okay, so we have 7 matches of paradigm, and we can just go through them one at a time. Towards a paradigm of co-creation, polarity paradigm, immersion. It's a little hard to tell what these things are really about, but new paradigm for conflict transformation. The subject matter of Humanity Rising is absolutely vast, 700 episodes, each about more than one thing usually. So it's a little hard to have any kind of index of it. Giving legal rights to nature. The Pachamama Alliance presented this episode of Humanity Rising. And we go to the bottom of each page, we should see issues, the categories that this particular page is on. So this page is about it has to do with the Amazons. And if we click on issue Amazon Basin, we'll get all the episodes that have been labeled Amazon Basin. And if we go back, and this is where I need a committee, Amazon Forest, and it has most of the same things. Now, each episode of Humanity Rising since day 60 has had a conversation group. And I usually have a picture of the people who attended the conversation for that day. And most of these have somebody named Shannon in there somewhere. And all of them have me because I do this work. And then we could actually watch the recording that was made after the Humanity
Please
Rising
repeat it
episodes.
because it is so necessary.
It's stunning to me the synchronicity of Lynn Twist announcing on Humanity Rising. Outside her door, she is watching and hearing the cutting down of 100 trees in the Presidio, as
Ooh,
she has dedicated her entire life's work to protecting the trees of the Amazon.
Thanks, Stan. And just before you go off that picture, I just want to point out that behind me, that tree is now a building that has 4 living units in it.
oh, okay. Well, that's sad.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
kind of on topic from what Kat
Right.
was saying.
Kat was remarking about Lynn Twist talking about the demolition of a small forest near her.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And Anahata was with us today, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. And so was Kurt.
So is Kurt, yes. Well, Kurt and Shannon pretty much have attended all of the Humanity Rising after chats.
Yeah.
And most of the episodes as well. But probably 600 or 700 visits to the after chat for both of them. And then we have a number of other people who are especially interesting. Kat is a super organizer of climate activities and does
TED Talks.
TEDx talks. And Sarah lives in Belize, and a week or so ago, we were talking to her, and somebody rang her doorbell and started talking about the raccoon that she had cooked, and started wanting to find her and put her in jail for cooking a raccoon.
Oh.
And we caught it on our after chat recording, and so she was very happy that we had that recording so she could take it to court with her.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right.
dear.
Yes. Now, so we have all these categories, and there's a tool for searching the categories. So if we put in what
Climate.
put in, oops. Put in climate. So it'll start bringing up a list of things that have that word in it. But I wanted to see categories. So I click search, and it shows us the categories. A category called about climate, which is different from the category called issue climate, because about climate will tell us something about climate. The category issue climate will tell us about organizations that are working on climate.
And climate is different from climate change.
Yes, and
And
climate is different from environment.
Yeah.
So we have an issue climate change, an issue climate justice, and is climate network. Why we only have one? Climate Connect. That's odd. Yeah. We should have the Climate Foundation on here someplace, but let's not go looking for things we can't remember where to find them.
That's what I find when I go on to other networks, is that I it leads me into the next page, and curiosity is
Yes, so here we are back on the Pachamama Alliance episode of Humanity Rising, and it has some things at the bottom. The Amazon forest, and if we go there and we go to Lynn Twist, whose page has that on the bottom, she's interested in a bunch of things: monetary reform, hunger, environmental justice, she is a public speaker. Issue is the Amazon basin, and she's also issue Amazon forest. We got to straighten this out. They're the same thing. She is a public speaker. So if we click on that, we'll find all these other people who are public speakers. And let's choose somebody like John Perkins, who's a public speaker. And he appeared 5 times, 4 times on Humanity Rising. And so each one of these links to the episode of Humanity Rising that John Perkins participated in. So let's see if we have a picture. Yes, we do. There's John, and talking about, and this will take us back to that page with John's list on it, and it's touching the Jaguar, because he's famous for the economy stuff, but he's not so famous for being a shaman. And so he studied shamanism with his friends from South America. He apprenticed with shamans when he lived in the Amazon forest, 68 to 71, and has since studied with the shamans from many different cultures. Very fascinating gentleman. And we could go back to his page. And I think this one. Oops, there's no page, there's no picture there. Why not?
But
It's
John,
supposed to be a picture.
I
'cause
think
he-
John was there.
Yes, I know, it's,
He
his
did
name is
type
a-
something into the chat.
okay. Anyway, we have all these records of all these things. And one of the important parts of building the global network that we need is to have a bunch of people documenting what's going on.
Yeah.
Yes, so.
And honestly, Stan, what
Mhm.
today has really shown is that the power of this software and the need that you have for help.
Yes, well,
Uh,
let's see if we can find the Stan's Global Network is empty. And I thought I set this up. There is a page on other networks that I'm looking for.
You want to show us something?
Yes.
Okay.
And I thought in the middle of my getting ready to go to sleep last night that I had organized it. Let's see if it's under favorites. Networks of Stanley Pokras. That was the title of this episode. So this should have been in more categories. It should be in a by Stan's Creations. It's here. And by Stan's Favorites.
But you didn't go to either one of those.
I didn't.
No.
By Stan's Creations and Networks of Stan. Okay, well, whatever. But the first thing that I wanted to talk about, I already did, the strength of weak ties. The next thing that I feel is important to understand about networks is something, this odd sort of thing from it's not sociology, it's systems theory, Ashby's law. And it talks about how to manage a bunch of stuff. That's my interpretation for it. And all I can do with Ashby's law, now I don't have anything to show, but the way to understand Ashby's law is to try to go to the supermarket and buy 10 apples and then realize that you only have 2 hands. So how do you manage 10 apples with 2 hands? There's 2 ways to do it. You can increase the capacity of the management tool. That would mean bringing in 4 more friends, each with 2 hands, and that'll give you 10 hands to manage the apples. The other way you can manage a bunch of stuff is to put the apples into a bag, and then you have 2 hands and 1 bag to manage. So that's the nature of Ashby's law. It talks about matching up the capacity of the management tool with the complexity of the thing you're trying to manage. And that's very important in understanding the nature of where we are in today's world. We have a few people that have enormous capacity to manage a lot of people because they have access to the world's most powerful computers. And they have all this money. And then the rest of us, 7-8 billion of us, don't have access to the rest of us the way we need to be if we wanted to get together to do something. So one of the factors in Humanity Rising is that we're always talking about, oh, if you only could get together and we could do something powerful. Well, how do you get together? Well, the capacity to manage something needs to be increased. So if we have more directories of organizations that are working on things, then it would be more likely that we would be able to manage them. And let's see.
Stan,
Uh-huh.
this is so interesting, and
Mhm.
I see could you just stop sharing for a moment?
Okay.
Because I want to we're coming up close to the end of the hour, and I really
Okay.
want to express to you how important I think this work is.
Okay.
And I saw Melanie put in the chat that she agrees with me, and you know,
Yeah.
and also it was important for us to see what you haven't spoken of today,
Mm-hmm.
and to invite you to come back and talk to us again.
Yeah.
I made a
think-
mission that I'm going to continue these talks, and
Mhm.
I talked about Gaia's Zoom room that happens every Tuesday from 6 to 8
Mhm.
on theconversation.cc, but I think that this conversation needs to be continued.
Mhm.
And so let's talk about that behind the scenes. I really want to highlight what you've done here today is to open us to a possibility of creating a treasure trove that the Argonauts would
Mhm.
give their eye teeth for, and to spur the idea or plant the idea in people's minds of becoming social Argonauts, because that is what is being created now. And by knowing our ground and the ground that we walk upon as explorers in this realm, we get to show others where we've been and where we're going, and plant seeds of curiosity on
Mhm.
where could we go. And you know, in Humanity Rising this week, we're talking about AI, and we've changed it from artificial intelligence over to augmented intelligence, and the idea of augmented collective intelligence. And is AI actually our partner? Could we partner with AI in order to go where we are destined to go? And where are we destined to go? And oh my gosh, this for me is what makes my heart beat.
Good. Yes, which is why we hang out together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's really an inspiration for me to keep working, to have you be as positive about what I do as you are, and it's just fabulous. And
Well, it goes back to Jim Garrison. And if it
Mhm.
wasn't for Jim Garrison, Ubiquity University coming up with the idea of having a daily webinar to uplift people from the doom and gloom of the pandemic. Oh my God, if it wasn't for Humanity Rising, I would have been dead long ago.
Mm.
Honestly, I think Humanity Rising saved a lot of lives. I
Very
know it
welcome.
saved a lot of sanity.
Mhm.
And Stan, the what you have created here is a resource that could be studied by future people forever. This is so important. I feel it is the nucleus, or one of the nuclei of the brain of the one we are, perhaps the beginning of the Akashic records of the new one that that we say we are, because the universe is alive, and one of the criteria of life is reproduction. And so perhaps we are engaged in the life cycle of a god, and we don't know what that is, and it's just inspiring to imagine the possibilities. And Stan, thank you so much for coming and talking to us today about
Okay. Well, you're welcome. Now I'm doing the recording. Is that correct? So I need to turn it off.
are, but before
Okay.
we go, I want to give Melanie a voice.
That's right.
Would you like to say something?
Sure. Thank you so much. I'm so glad I was guided here. That's funny because I meditated with Mother Earth this morning, and your room was one that she told me to come to. And as you spoke with everything, I understand why I needed to be here.
Nice. Nice.
It's
And Michael,
incredible.
you can say something too, if you care to.
And that's okay if you don't. I
Yeah.
want to thank the people in the hub of World Unity Week for connecting us, Melanie. You know, Karen and Ingrid and Jana and all of the rest of them there, they are fabulous, fabulous jewels. And Ben Bowler and John and Summer Joy and the list goes on. There is something that we are involved in that is exponentially growing. And I am so, so thrilled to be a part of it.
Well, we all unite and we're all awakened to be and find each other. And that's why these networks and everything else blends together. We have been chosen to make that change in the world, you know? It's really true. And
Yeah.
it was a blessing to be with both of you and Michael,
Well,
you
thank
as
you.
well. So
If you put your email in the chat or just send it to me directly, then you'll start getting my daily report, which links to each episode of Humanity Rising and the after chat and the chats from both of those. So we collect the information about the daily occurrences on and after Humanity Rising. And you'll get those.
And his email address is really easy.
No, she doesn't. She can just put it here.
I know, but I want to tell people.
Oh, okay.
Email address is stan@othernetworks.org.
Yeah.
Come and see us.
other networks.
.org.
Is it network or just networks?
Plural. Networks.
Okay, .org you said, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
.org. If you go
And
to
Michael-
.com, it's a different company, but
Did have something to say. He said, well said, Shannon, you keep taking the words out of my mouth. And Stan, to see this work coming out of another Philly soul is so uplifting.
Oh.
Thank you, Michael.
Philly, you're here?
Yeah, Michael is in Philly.
I guess so. Well, let's see
And
each
you
other.
guys got to get to know each other. And I have to bring this to an end or
Okay.
My email does not have a capital Y. It's all small case letters. For some reason, it fixed, you know.
it does that. You're the beginning of a sentence.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, your inner
Your
infinity connection.
It's my
Wonderful.
business name for my business card. So.
Oh,
Nice.
beautiful. I look forward to looking into that. Thanks, Melanie. Thanks, Michael.
Okay.
Thank you, Stan.
Thank you. Love you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great night.
Bless you all.
Okay, we'll stop recording first.
And I also have a website that I could show.
Oh, you want to put that in the chat before I?
That's what I'm gonna put that right now, and in that way you guys can always take a look.
Good.
And it's a lowercase m.
Okay.
She
Oh,
says it
That's
all-
all right.
It doesn't pay any attention to upper and lowercase.
No,
It's
this
for our
doesn't
benefit.
matter.
Thank you again. It was such a blessing to be with all of you. So
Thank
very
you. We'll
Bye
be
for
in
now.
touch.